So we know the class that we're starting with. I've done some introduction of myself during the orientation session, but this is just to give you further insights. I've always been a facility manager, and I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing today. Please, let's try and reduce distractions from the class by not unmuting unless you've been acknowledged to speak. It's very important. We also want those who want to speak to raise their hand and be acknowledged so that they can speak, okay? We'll observe a 5-minute break usually every time we have this 2 hours class. Just 5 minutes to stretch, the restroom, grab your coffee or water, whatever you have around you, and continue with the class, okay? We're going to look at facility management as a profession, the services we render in facility management, relationship between the FM and the business itself, key elements of facility management, and then the strategies. This is going to be the core. That last line item, last objective is going to be the core of today's lessons. Key strategies to foster operational excellence in facility management. This is what I really want you to pay attention to. You're going to go back with actionable ideas, something you can do right now to turn around the way facility management is run in the organization. So the outline, there's going to be the introductory part that has to do with definitions and concepts, key concepts, history of FM, key elements of facility management, services classification, strategies to foster. You all have in-depth knowledge and insights into the broad scope of the profession that will enable you to function at your desired capacity within the industry. The International Facility Management Association defines facility management as a profession that encompasses multiple disciplines to ensure functionality of the built environment by integrating people, place, process, and technology. To break this down in layman's terms, it means that the built environment is made functional by one profession, which is FM. And how do you make a built environment functional? It becomes functional when you can make the environment suitable for the purpose of the inhabitants. So we occupy space for different reasons. It is the reason that we have the objective or the purpose for creating that space that the FM's job is to make sure it works. So whether you want to live in a space, reside, work, school, recreate, whatever, it is the FM's job to ensure that that space is functional, right? But to do this, we integrate people, place, process, and technology. And the fact that it is multidisciplinary is something that should help you understand where we're going with this. Everybody with different backgrounds can work in facility management. All they just need to do is get the body of knowledge, become professional in their approach to doing things, and they can deliver facility management effectively because there's a bit of accounting in here. There's a bit of engineering in here. There's a lot of management in here. There's a lot of communication happening in here. There's a lot of writing and research going on in here. Just think about all professions in the world. There's so many legal aspects, agreements in here. Accounting is being done here. So there's a bit of all professions in facility management because that's the only way we can ensure functionality of the built environment. Other definitions you'll find in the slides includes those by Kotz and Lee that defines FM as a profession that coordinates and integrates the physical resources and the working space. Chotipanik in his book also said FM offers the services supporting the core business. So that core versus non-core is coming in here. We're going to have a bit of a discussion around that as well. from the US Congress to assist in meeting the objectives of the organization by the cost-effective provision and proactive management of space and services within the law in such a way as to enable the users to operate safely, effectively, and efficiently. And then you also have the IWFM, formerly BIFM, defining facility management as the practice of coordinating the physical workplace with the people and work of the organization, integrating the principles of business management or administration, architecture, and the behavioral and engineering sciences. In essence, we are all talking about one thing. Well, let's say two things. The people and the work they do, and the built environment. Our job is to create harmony between the users and the environment. That's basically it. So whatever we are going to expand or expound or break this down into in the various skills that we're going to be looking at is all tied to these two things. People exist to achieve certain things in their lives, in their careers, in their jobs, in their businesses. And the environment is a space in which all of these activities needs to take place. Facility management is that profession that creates the harmony between the users and the spaces that they occupy. And FM, we look at the history of FM and say FM has started in the early 80s. Came out of public works departments where they build and put down for maintenance. Usually it was known as maintenance in those early 80s and started expanding into all of the body of knowledge that we have today. But the truth is, for as long as humanity has existed on the earth, there's always been a need to create harmony between the individual, the users, the group of functional groups of humans with the environment. So if you talk about the caves, the huts, the pyramids, all the way to advanced high-tech towers and structures in space, you will find one common thread in all of this. There's always been that reasoning around how to make that space conducive for the users. So nothing has changed, just that we now have a body of knowledge that has been put together to identify as a distinct profession. Okay, so it's no longer just using common sense to manage facilities. We're now using systems, standards, we're now using structures to manage facilities, and we now have processes that helps to ensure that we get the best out of the facilities that we are using today. So there's this dichotomy that you need to understand when thinking about facility management with regards to all the other professions that we encounter in the workplace. That is the core versus the non-core dichotomy. It's significant to understand this because you'll find people who handle maintenance in many other professions. They are not FMs. You find people who handle health and safety. They handle well-being in many other professions, but they are not FMs. So what makes you a facility manager? The facility manager is the one providing the support function, which we call the non-core services to the organization. So if you are two engineers employed by the same organization, and one of them has been sent into the factory to produce the biscuits that the organization will sell, and the other one has been sent to the water plants to produce the water that will be used in all the restrooms, that will be used in the manufacturing of the biscuits. They are both mechanical engineers, but one has entered into the core business and the other one has entered into facility management. Because facility managers are supposed to understand that their role is strategic enablement of the core business. So you must know who are in the core business. I've seen a lot of people arguing with other colleagues in their organizations, claiming rights, proving difficult because they think they are all on the same pedestal. You are not all on the same pedestal. You might even have somebody who is lower than you in rank, who is in the core business, and you are in the support function or the non-core aspects of the business. You must understand your priority. You must understand what you are there for, to strategically enable the success of the core business. So you must be focused on what you are doing as a job. So instead of seeing your job as, oh, we clean, we provide electricity, we provide water, we provide security, we give them food and catering and all of that. That's not just, it's more like taking a situation as symptoms instead of the core malady or the core issue. So those are just aspects of what you do. All of those things I've just listed that you see in this slide right now, they come together to enable the core business to succeed, to excel, to achieve its goals, to meet with its strategic objectives. So we don't come to work with them in the core business. We don't come to work like them in the core business. We don't come to work as them. We come to work rather for them. Okay, so that relationship must be clearly established. We must see ourselves as the ones who have the resources, who understands what they need to succeed and excel, and can provide the resources, the spaces, the services to help them. Now, read my lips very carefully. I started with, we understand what they are trying to achieve. If you don't understand what the various core departments are trying to achieve, all of these things you are providing can become an impediment. You can provide security where the security guards are now becoming a nuisance, now beginning to obstruct processes, now beginning to slow down the production process because they are carrying out the orders of FM in security, or cleaners who will shift engineers out of positions so they can clean at 9 o'clock. After all, they are doing their jobs, or maintenance crews who will shut down power to change oil in the generator and tell everybody, please be patient. We need 2 hours to fix the gen or to maintain, because they don't know why they are doing what they are doing. They don't know what their role is in that organization. Then they can hold 200 people down to ransom and say, all of you wait, we will soon finish maintaining the gen so you can get back to work, right? Those are, if you get that mindset right, you won't argue. You will not be putting yourself as an impediment to their success. You will not see your success as independent of the success of the organization. In fact, it is your user success that will now become your success. There's nothing you are doing well if the people you are serving cannot say you are doing well. That's the whole introduction I need you to have. So we come to work as non-core support, providing a variety of services. The FM wheel is so broad. Everything from financial, auxiliary services, management and leadership, operations and maintenance, real estate and project management, planning. We do everything from at every level. Yeah. So let's not see our jobs as non-strategic because it is non-core. No. Our job operates at the strategic down to the operational, tactical down to the operational, right? So we must understand that we operate at the highest level of planning and reasoning within the organization to provide a very vast array of services focused on enabling the success of the departments in the core business that we serve. And in facility management, we call ourselves generalists. A generalist is a jack of all trades. You go to some companies and you hear somebody says, oh, I'm a writer. The next person says, I'm an auditor. The next one says, I'm a HRO training specialist. I'm a rewards specialist. I'm a talent hunt specialist. Those are the kind of positions you see in organizations. IT in charge of security, IT in charge of content, IT in charge of coding and development. Everybody has specializations. The one profession that doesn't have that specialization is facility management. You are supposed to be a generalist who understands all, so that you can provide the multiple sets of services that enables each of these specialists to perform and do their job. So you must understand a bit of what they are doing. How does the auditor work? What am I supposed to understand about the auditor? What am I supposed to understand about the guy doing the engineering design? If I don't understand them, how they work, what kind of outputs the company expects from them, I will invariably become an impediment to their success. So I must understand. And then because I understand what they are trying to achieve, I am providing resources to help them succeed. And to do that, I need to know everything from electrical maintenance to plumbing services to power and solar renewable energy to water to food and health and safety, managing projects. I am everywhere. I'm spending money and I'm being, strategic in how I plan to spend money. I understand how to do cash flows. I understand how to do my retirement, my accounts, make sure everything balances, and so on and so forth. That makes you a generalist. You know everything. Now, you hear some employers say things like, we are looking for a facility manager with hands-on experience. And when you ask them what hands-on experience means, they want to find out whether you're a plumber, because we have a lot of plumbing issues, or whether you're an electrician, right? Because we have a lot of electrical issues. That is not the job of a facility manager. Facility manager's job when it comes to those specific specialist areas is to know how to scope the work, first identify the problem or issues that need to be resolved, scope the solution, find the right specialist or resource person, supervise that person after issuing out the job, and then confirming to the client or customer that the job has been done because you have followed certain metrics in supervising the job. That's what makes you a generalist. So you become a jack of all trades and master of all, not master of none. You have to be a master of all. A master is not necessarily a specialist. A master is like a foreman. It's like somebody who understands at a very high level detail, all that concerns all of the fields that he superintends over. A specialist is the one that is at the shop floor actually executing or implementing the task. So if you look at all of these facility management services, whether it's technology, whether it's property, land property, real estate property management, whether it's the maintenance, the sustainability issues, assets and how to manage the assets, IT and the rest, the FM needs to know a bit of all of this. All right, you need to know a bit of all of it. And as your career goes on in our Friday class, you'll see how we'll talk about FM careers, where you will realize that as your career moves on, you'll find yourself doing more of one than the other. For example, you could be a catering manager today, and the next day you are doing environmental services management, and the next day you are a health services manager, and so on and so forth. But you must have a grounding in all of it. That's very important. So what are the key? We mentioned them during the definition when we talked about what the FM integrates: people, place, process, and technology. All right. So people is the first element, and I said we serve our job, our profession is to ensure that the people and the environment are harmonized. There's a blending. If I need to use this space for residents versus I need to use this space for office, they are two different things. You can provide me the same space arrangements, the same services for that space for both. No, you have to understand what I want to use the space for, be able to provide the services and the type of space I need, right? So you need to understand people. Requirements of human beings can be as varied as everybody's faces. The way the faces are different, that's how their requirements and specifications and expectations are different. You cannot run away from that. As an FM, you have to become a people expert, be able to understand how we reason, when we are buying services. Managed people, both those who you work for and those who work for you. The perception of people is your final result. You can't say, I know myself, I do a good job. When those you are serving says, no, that guy is arrogant, or that guy doesn't do a good job, or they don't know what they're doing in that department. That judgment is superior to your judgment of yourself. Even the judgment of your bosses or your superiors in the organization are not as valid as the judgment of those you serve. So FM is not just a technical skill, it's a people management skill. So you must be able to manage perception. You can't come late because it will give the perception that you are not a serious person, not a good professional, right? You cannot overpromise, for example. We'll talk about some of these things as we go on the operational strategies. But the bottom line here is that you must be focused on people. What do they want? What can I provide? And when I'm providing it, how am I making them feel or perceive the work I'm providing? What is my final result? When I ask them, what would they say I have done? How would I improve in my service to people from where I am now to where they will want me to be? That's how FM should think. And this applies to not just those you serve, it applies to your customers, your contractors, your workers, your bosses in the office. And then the place is the built environment. We want to provide the right place for the right client. The client says, this is what I want to do. And then you ask, what kind of space, what kind of services would you need? And you create a proper scope to give that requirement to that client, okay? And then we work with processes. There are step-by-step approaches to executing facility management. No longer that reactive, flash in the pan kind of response where we sit back and expect the client or the user to be the one coming to us, right? No, that's no longer facility management. Facility management now is we are the one having a process for delivering services that even the users don't even need to notice us, don't even need to notice us, let alone come to meet us to seek a solution, because we preemptively deal with issues. We are very proactive in making sure there are nothing to fix because we are doing our maintenance correctly. And FM is carried out now with technology. Technology is built into the buildings. The buildings built in the last 10 years and the buildings built in the next 10 years are going to be very, very different, I assure you, because of Internet of Things, sensor technologies, and new technologies, new building materials that are making buildings smarter, more efficient in energy consumption, more responsive to the user's needs. So FM needs to understand techniques of how to manage such facilities. There are softwares, there are models we can use to manage such facilities, but in all, start from where you are when it gets to technology. Don't just jump from where you are to a very high level because you may not understand where you're going to. Let technology start little by little. Right now you have logs and paper work orders. You move from there to spreadsheets that have some formulas that can create some prompts to remind you. You move from there into a software, a computerized maintenance management system software that can be used to manage your asset register and your maintenance program. And you can move to a CAFM system, computer-aided facility management system that can help you to manage everything, including your visitors, your space management and project management and so on. And then you can now move on from there again to having enterprise integrated workplace management system. So there's that evolution that you get to as you research and work in facility management. So as the building is evolving, you must also be evolving in the resources or technology you are deploying to manage facilities. All right, so let's look at building service classifications. Facility management can be broken down into two broad categories: the hard services and the soft services. One other name we use to describe the hard services is building services. And if you look at the examples of services you have put here, you will see that they relate to engineering, technology, built-in assets that needs to be maintained. Everything in the hard service category are built into the buildings. So I'm managing air conditioning, they're already built in. Wiring, electricity is already built in. The CCTVs, fire alarm, they're already built in. That's why they are called hard services. The soft services are also called occupant services. Occupant services is what we call the soft services, which means they are provided because of the users. They are provided to serve the purpose for which the users intend to use that space. Okay, so catering, security, pest control, health and safety, space management, and so on and so grounds and the rest, they are all soft services. Now, don't get me wrong, there is no technical difference between the two sides. I hear people say things like, oh, this is the real FM. These are where the engineers operate. And then this is the ones that you can give to anybody to run because it's soft services. Let me tell you, both aspects are technical. They must be run using processes. They must be done correctly without mistakes. If you want to know how technical this can be, try having a food poisoning, catering process failure once, and see how bad that can land your organization and yourself, kind of mess you can find yourself in. So everything we do in FM is equal in weight and value. But if you look at it on the other side, on the flip side, the soft services are the ones that touch the people more directly. More directly, if you put refuse in a bin and the bin fills up and it's now smelling, you'll be rest assured that people are going to evacuate that space and leave you at your overflowing refuse bin, isn't it? And there'll be loss of man hours. Same thing with food, security, or any other services. People see it as, this is what they see as facility management. Take cleaning, for example. So how did you rate that building that you went to, that bank you went to today? The first thing that will come to your mind was, oh, the place was so fine. It was so clean. The FM there is really nice, right? The soft service is one you will pick first, right? So it is more direct. But in all, as professionals, both hard and soft services are key, and we cannot joke with any of them. What are the competencies? What competencies do you need to manage facilities? I want to be a facility manager because I'm an engineer. Think again. I want to be a facility manager because I read management. Think again. You need a lot more. And the International Facility Management Association has taken its time to do a global job task analysis for facility managers and came up with these 11 key competencies that a competent facility manager should have. These 11 competencies. You must have the ability to create a communications plan, communicate upwards, downwards, and laterally effectively, have desired results from effective communication. Must be able to put in place emergency preparedness and business continuity plans. These are plans that take away surprises from your operations. You, on your own, create a system that identifies all potential risks. Now, this particular competence is now called risk management. All of those, it's not my fault. There's nothing I could have done about it. No longer applies because you are now expected to have emergency mindedness. If you can prepare an emergency preparedness plan, then nothing will surprise you again because you now have a contingency for every potential risk or potential surprise. The FM is also to be competent as an environmental steward. Sustainability is a core competence of facility management. Reason being, the buildings we occupy creates waste that destroys the environment. The building that we occupy consumes energy that depletes the natural resources of the same environment. The buildings that we occupy produce these emissions that harm the Earth's atmosphere and destroy our water bodies and our landscapes and vegetation. So in essence, if we are not environmental stewards with the mindset of running the provision of our services sustainably, we will become the ones that are destroying the earth, and that shouldn't be. And then finance and business. Facility managers must be competent in money matters. Why? Money is the reason why most of our organizations exist, if not all, right? And as such, if you look at your place in the organization, you will find that you are on both sides of the equation of money. What's the money equation? You sell, revenue, right? And then you spend, expenditure. If you deduct these two, revenue less expenditure, what do you have? Profitability, isn't it? Profits. Where does the FM stand in this equation? The key lever that we hold is on the expenses. Because we are the ones providing the spaces and services, we spend most of the monies in the organization. Apart from salaries, the highest amount of money organizations spend today in their overhead categories are on facilities, real estate, and property. You are sitting on that lever. If you know how to think about money, life cycle, time value, net present value, and so many other concepts that we're going to be looking at in the finance class, for example, you will be smarter in making money decisions that will help to curtail and control your expenditure. And when that is being curtailed and controlled, what happens to the profit of the organization? It is rising. That is how you must reason. You are not delivering services to run the organization out of business. No, because you are focused as a strategic enabler, you are also concerned that you don't spend 1 naira more than what gives the value that is required, not 1 naira more. Because every time you waste 1 naira or you spend 1 naira more than what is needed to give the precise value, you have dropped the profit of that organization by 1 naira. You don't control the lever of revenue. You're not the one selling the goods. You're not the one producing the goods. You are the one spending from that revenue so that it becomes profit. You have to keep your eyes on the ball. So how do you think about money? How do you plan for money? How do you budget and the rest? And then all those contracting that goes in there. Human factors, people. We talked about this extensively. You must know what is comfortable, what is convenient, what is required, know how to scope the needs of people that you serve, and then leadership and strategy. The FM is no longer that person who reacts to what is needed. No, the FM is that person who creates a big vision of where my people are going and the kind of vehicle they will need to go to where they are going. And when they get there, what they want to do there and the kind of spaces that need to be created for them. That is the FM's job. It's a very, very high level technical job that you cannot take for granted. So you must be able to develop strategies, be able to lead people to implement those strategies to have the desired results you seek. And then operations and maintenance. These are bread and butter. Are there tricks and tips to being effective in operations and maintenance? Of course, there's a whole body of knowledge on how to operate and maintain properly. So they call you maintenance officer because that's the least they understand about all the things you do, right? And yet, you don't have a standard method of doing that maintenance. You don't have a preventive maintenance program. You don't know how to budget for reactive maintenance work. You come cap in hand every time. You don't know how to plan replacement and improvements. You don't know how to do facility condition index and assessments and so on and so forth. You're just going from day to day reacting. So when they call you maintenance specialist, You're not even good in maintenance. That is the problem we're having in the industry today. So operations and maintenance itself is a broad area. So all of those people that call themselves engineers, we are the ones that know how to install, and we're the ones that know how to maintain. This is a small part where you are superior. You know how the engines work, right? It's a small part where you're superior. But again, every other person in the profession don't need to be a specialist. All you need to do is know how to find the right people, know how to scope, at least know all the components of the machines and the assets that you hold, because you have an asset register that you understand. And then project management, beyond the routine day-to-day activities, there are projects that we also implement. There are projects that we implement to ensure that we have those. So you have the continual improvements. We keep doing the normal operations and doing things to keep things going. And then at some point, to meet up with our vision, we will need to do some projects, some activities that helps us to rise in outputs, like a major overhaul, a major refurbishment, a replacement of a major asset, and then we'll continue again. That's our FMC. So you must understand the concepts, the principles, the step-by-step elements involved in project management. And then quality. FM is at the heart of service delivery. Products with things like grades, with things like specifications, we almost can put our finger on the quality of a product. But for services, it's a bit tricky, right? So you can have two people provided the same service, and one says you're fantastic, and the other says you are trash. They are both right, my dear. They are both right. You can't even argue. Why? Because quality A is not quality to Mr. B. You cannot have a definition of quality and apply it to Mr. A and Mr. B. You are supposed to ensure that you have Mr. A served according to his own quality expectations and Mr. B served according to his own quality expectations. Tricky, right? But that is our calling in facility management. So what are the tools? What are the metrics? How can you even measure what Mr. A said he wants? Are there objective tools for measuring people's verbal requests for services? How do we scope? How do we measure what we are provided to say? Is there a gap between what I provided and what was asked of me? That's quality, and there are tools. We're going to talk about them as well in this session, in this program. And then real estate and property management. Are you leasing? Is it bought? Is it your own bought property? Are you building to own? There are various ways real estate are owned by organizations today. And as facility managers, we must understand the terminologies. We must understand the contractual relationships between the buyers, the sellers, the leases, the leasers, and those who are renting, and so on and so forth. And we must understand all of those strategic reasoning behind how to site a location, how to do the assessment of the property before you rent it or lease it or buy it or whatever. So property management is a core competence of facility managers. And then technology, knowing how to get things done more efficiently, more effectively using technology. So the properties that you will find yourself managing, you will come in at different stages. Most of us find ourselves in facility management virtually at the tail end. We're at the use, repair, replace stage, where we are just basically going to run it from day to day until it goes into the dispose, redevelop phases. But in reality, we're supposed to be engaged with the built environment from the planning stage to the construction stage to the operate and then dispose and develop, redevelop stage. We're supposed to be involved at a very, very early stage. And this is something that we need to understand, so that most of the challenges you are having today in your facility management are often tied to your not being there when decisions were being made, and those issues were created when they were solving the issues for the project team. The project team needs to build quickly, cheaply, and within scope that they've been given, and they want to get it done and get out, and that's all they want. And you are not there. The FM is not there. The users are not there. Sometimes the owner is even an accomplice in that get it done cheaply and quickly and get out, because whether they're going to use it or they're not going to use it, I really can't explain why there's that level of compromise from developers and owners, but it is happening. So project teams can deliver crap and then dump it on you, and you're made to look like an incompetent person because you can't make things work now that they've given it to you. So at what stage should you be involved? At what kind of learning should you have to be able to contribute to at earlier stages? Because if you don't have anything to contribute, nobody's going to invite you to that seat. That's the whole idea, right? Nobody's going to invite you to that seat at all, okay? All right, so let's look at a major tool in our service delivery arsenal, the service level agreement. It's a contract between the service provider, whether internal or external, and the end user. Now, this is very important. Many of us who have encountered service level agreement before have encountered it only in one dimension, only in the standpoint of the organization and its vendors. So the FM is drawing up service level agreements as a contract between our organization, the demand organization, and the service providers who are going to provide cleaning services and security services and the rest, right? But there's a mistake in that process. What did you anchor your specifications and service levels on? Who did you get that information from? Are you prescribing what the users will require by yourself? Did you just decide that this is how they must be served? Did you create FM policies and procedures and impose it on your building users? That is a wrong practice. That is not advisable. Your best bet is to create options for all the services. Look at what the users are doing and trying to achieve. Come up with ideas on how you can help them, but then get to ask them in a survey what their preference would be. It is based on that you come up. Take, for example, you want to have a cleaning contractor clean your office. You could easily say, you know what, come and clean between 5 and 7 because by 7:30, our staff begins to come in. I want them to have a clean office to work at. That's what you prescribe. But you don't realize that your workers don't like to drop their door keys and because they have things littered all over the place, and documents could easily get lost if cleaners come in there when they're not there. You didn't have that discussion. So the cleaners come in by 5 o'clock, they can't clean because all the doors are locked. Everybody are taking their keys home. Who's making the blunder here? The FM. Before you can prescribe that, you need to go to the people and say, would you prefer to have cleaning done so that you are not disturbed when you come to work? If they say yes, then how will you handle security and the loitered offices? Would you rather have shelves and lockers where you can lock things up at the end of work so we can clean without prying into your work? Oh, okay, I'm sure we can do that. Now you are talking. Because if you didn't talk to them and you went to get the controller to come and clean at 5 and they lock their doors, they all have a reason for locking their doors, and you never discuss with them that their doors needs to be left open for cleaning to take place. So you make sure that before you get into contract with external, you already have a contract internal. All right, so we're going to take a 5 minutes break. All right, let's get back into this. Please confirm that my audio is good.
Yes, it's loud and clear.
Awesome, awesome. Super. Cool. All right, so we'll move on. Thank you so much for that validation. All right, so let's give you the first key to effective facility management operations. You must need people in the right numbers, the right skills and abilities to get FM done. FM is never a solo job. So manpower planning is your number one tool in your arsenal. It's not enough to keep saying, I can provide services, I can provide services. Look, if you don't know the right people to provide the services, you will fall flat on your face. And this is out of 25 years of experience. I've personally hired close to 300 people in the course of my career. And I can tell you that if you don't know what you're hiring for, you hire just about anybody. So you start by asking yourself, what does my customers want? What kind of skills do I need to implement what my customers want? Who are those out there that can help, that have the skills, knowledge, experience, abilities to be able to deliver these services that I can sell to my customers? So put the right people in the right number, right kind of people at the right place, right time. They are doing the right things for which they are suited. They have, they are working for the goals of the organization, not for any other ulterior agenda on that site. How many people do you have on ground right now? What are the skills they have? What are the skills you actually need? What are the numbers you need? Most of our sites, I can assure you, are overstaffed. I hear people say, oh, we need more, we need more. I tell you, they are already overstaffed. Because you've not done a manpower inventory, you don't know that they're overstaffed. But you keep harping on the one skill that is lacking, and you keep telling management you need somebody in that space because it's lacking. Is obviously a gap in your operations, but you have not taken an inventory of the whole team to see where you have the surpluses. And then we even have a bigger issue with having a manpower pool for the future. I'm looking for a particular skill and I start advertising and calling for people to come and apply. We do it all the time. It takes a long time to go through that process. Why do we really wait until there's a vacancy before we start advertising? Can you create a funnel, a proactive funnel, where you know the people, whether within the organization or outside the organization, you run interviews, you have shortlists, and you have people on call that you can call up and say, a vacancy just turned up, are you still available for work? And then ensure that there is a program for succession within the organization. If Mr. A is at this level, where is the possible move for Mr. A tomorrow? And how can Mr. B step into Mr. A's position? So you are creating a training program that helps people to close their knowledge and skill gap from one level to the next. And you're already giving them opportunities during planning so that once somebody is going on leave, somebody is prepped to be able to stay in for that person in that position as an upward or vertical move temporarily, exposing him to the opportunities and tasks available in that position and challenging him to become competent to replace that person if that person is no longer available. So your training program doesn't necessarily have to be, we go for an expensive training, go and invite Max-Migold to come and train all our staff. Training program can be as simple as every morning during our 2 bus talks, we have a 10 minutes description of a certain process or procedure done by one person within the team who is a specialist in that area. Think about it. If you can have your plumbers teach how to change a valve, for example, to electricians, That's a huge cross-training opportunity. Or electrician teaching your AC technicians how to replace light bulbs, sockets, and switches. With proper training and proper planning, you don't need the large numbers that we're often depending on, or sitting down and watching TV. You must know your customers. A clear knowledge of who your customer is or are and what their expectations and service quality attributes are. Your customers in the FM profession, it's a very broad base of people. Those who awarded the contract to you, some gatekeepers, secretaries and assistants, some users, building user group managers, and even visitors and users of the facilities. All are your customers. You need to understand what their needs are. You need to be able to prioritize the difference between customer A and customer B. There's some customers that can decide that your contract should be terminated, right? If you have to prioritize how to use that time to meet the requirements of 2 customers right now, you need to know how to prioritize because you understand who your customers are. Now, don't sideline your contractors and the staff that work with you and the users of your buildings and even the visitors to your facilities. They are also your customers. You need to know what their expectations are and build all that into your operations. What do customers really want? Timely response to requests. I made a request. You responded quickly. You are super. Some customers don't call you super for responding quickly. You don't have proactive approach to problem identification and solution. Why do I even have to be the one to notice that the socket is getting warm and getting burnt? Why would I be the one to notice and come and tell you that it's now bad? As at the point I'm calling you, I'm no longer calling you as a normal routine thing that you should, when you respond, I'll be happy. I'm calling you as an angry customer because you have allowed me to notice something you should have proactively identified and fixed before it became a problem for me. Now I have to wait 2 hours for you to go and change the sockets, or maybe a whole day for you to change that socket. Who do you think you are? So you have the 2 customers. Are they both right? Capital, yes, they are both right. The one that called you with a smile, you responded, and quickly you went to deal with the issue, he appreciates you, is right. The one that is angry that you failed to notice there was going to be a problem, let alone the problem that arose, and then you now got to the point where that customer picks it up and is not chasing you to come and fix it, is also right to be angry at you. So you must be very conscious. If there's a service disruption, what do we normally do? Most FMs will typically rush to fix the issue. The gen just stopped working and there's no light from public supply. And then we run down there, oh, let's do a quick troubleshooting. Let's check. What could be the problem? Is that the first thing you should do? A good facility manager will leave that gen alone. After just checking that the power has gone out, we'll do a notification. Ladies and gentlemen of this section of the building, the power just went out, the gen stopped, we don't know what the reason is. We're going to do a check now. We'll give you a feedback in 30 minutes if we can put it back up so you can know exactly what's going to be happening. You know that you go to that generator this time after that communication and you will not have your phone ringing. You will not have anybody angry. Whereas the person who thought it was smart for him to go and fix it quickly, after just a 20 minutes issue, I'll get it done quickly. We have the phone ringing, buzzing, and you're not picking, which even takes you from negligence to criminality. If your phone is ringing and you're not picking, you have become a criminal. That's how FM work is. You have to be fully available. You are accountable to everybody for their well-being in the facilities you manage. You can't disappear on anybody. Timely and regular feedback on progress. As I'm doing the work, it's not a matter of, please leave me, let me do my job. When I'm done, you'll see that I'm done. No. I must be telling you how I'm making progress, giving you an indication of how much time I need. All those, we are on it. We will soon be done. We are almost done. Just be patient with us. They are all scams. Don't let those words come out of your mouth again. That's not facility management. A facility manager that knows what he's doing will say, this job will probably take us up to 5 hours, but I'll let you know in 3 hours how far we have gone. And if it is not going to happen in 5 hours, you don't wait until it is 5 hours to let them check the time and say, it's only 5 hours. Now, the job is not yet done. So you now say, I saw that the pipe misaligned. I have to go and buy a 2-inch and go and bring a 5 inches. You have become a criminal at that point because you have lied. Well, it's not my fault. It's a situation I met on ground. I didn't have a choice. I had to. No. You are complicit in that failure. Because by the time it was 4 hours, remaining 1 hour to go, you already should know that 1 hour is not enough to finish that job, isn't it? You take a pause and you notify the clients. It's not likely this job will finish in the 5th hour I promised. These are the issues I'm dealing with. This is how far I've gone. I still require another extra 1 hour to get it done. So maybe 6 hours, 2 more hours from now on. You can carry on with that communication again and again and again. Of course, you are doing your calculations well. So something may come up that may make your calculations fall off. You give that explanation again. They will respect you because you are someone who respects them. We're in a profession where we give respect. We don't demand respect. But like they say, respect is what? Reciprocal, isn't it? If you give respect, you will get respect in return. So don't see yourself as, who did they take me for? Am I a fool? Are you just stepping on my toes? People have walked away from their jobs in FM because people talk roughly to them and they cannot take such rubbish. Don't bother now if you are not ready for this. But the truth is, the best of FMs out there don't get anybody talking rubbish to them at all because they know how to respect their extended stakeholders by providing the right communication in the right medium, in the right tone, the right pitch, the right content, in the right timing. I've had an FM being protected by a client. A matron was shielding a job that was not completed on time so that I, the manager, will not see it and not punish my FM. I saw everything that was happening. I just laughed. You see, the FM has created a bond with the customer to the point where the customer is not fighting the FM. Fully understands the FM's challenges and supports all the right actions the FM is taking to get them to excel and succeed. So we cannot play with our jobs, especially when it comes to relating with people. You cannot overpromise. Your underpromise must also be capped by your service level agreements. SLA says a bulb that goes out cannot be out for more than 24 hours. That's your SLA. That's your worst case scenario promise. If I have to go to Nandi's shop across the street to get a bulb, we didn't stock it in the store. I know that it is just 1 hour to get across, buy it, pay for it, process the transfer, and come back with the bulb to replace. I could easily promise 1 hour, but I'd rather promise 3 hours or 2 hours because I don't know, Nandi may not have it across the street. I may have to take a ride to another shop down the street to go and get the bulb I'm looking for, right? So I'm covered. And by the way, my SLA is 24 hours. I have not overpromised by saying in 30 minutes, 1 hour, you just to pick it from there and put it here. Because when you sleep on such promise, you are taken as a nuisance immediately. Even though your SLA that the customer already accepts is 24 hours, who asked you to promise 1 hour? And all the other things that go with this customer expectation, like good housekeeping. I've heard FMs complain about customers not allowing my team to go into their apartment to maintain things or to fix things. Why should they? When every time you come to work for them, you mess up the whole place. Just yesterday, I was looking at my ceiling. Somebody changed a light fitting for me, and I saw the 5 fingerprints of the electrical guy on the ceiling POP. 5 fingerprints, as if he was doing nursery activity where they do handprints as an activity. That was how bad his job was. The light fitting was changed, but just looking up at the ceiling, I'm angry. Your housekeeping must be thorough. Okay? You cannot have people who are not organized working in your team, because it is you they are mirroring when they go to the site to go and work. Somebody is not muted. Can you please mute your mic? Because I'm still in the presentation mode right now. Thank you. You're a facility manager and you come around your customers looking RAS. You stroll around when they are giving you instructions or describing what they want with you. You don't have your pen, you don't have your pad. You just, go on, talk. They see you as unprofessional. Half of the things they say you will not do because you didn't even remember when you get back. But if you come in looking clean, pressed close, now with flip-flop slippers on your feet, even if your job pays you 40,000 naira a month, dress nicely to it, wash the clothes, iron them, look good. You are not only uplifting your profession, you're also uplifting your career as an individual. Your customers perceive you as a professional who knows what he's doing. Attention to detail in problem identification and scoping and costing and job completion certification. You scope a job, the customer has approved, you come back and say, sorry, we missed out on these all these bolts that we're supposed to use to screw things together. We missed them, we forgot to add them. What do you think you look like or sound like? Or technicians called you to say, job is completed. Yes, please close out the work order. And then you close it out. And the customer says, Piam, this is the picture of the work your team have done. It's not completed. What do you look like at that time? You look incompetent. Absolutely incompetent. So let's pay attention to detail. FM work is not a walk in the park. It requires a lot of effort, mental effort. You must know your facilities and the service scope that is under you. Your scope of services are captured in your job descriptions, in service levels between your department and the main organization, and in service levels between your department or organization and external vendors. It's important that you have your asset register and you understand the condition of every asset in an asset condition assessment document, a facility condition assessment document, or what we call the facility audit. There's going to be a class to teach you all that. But you must know the gap between what is desired and what's available. You must have standards for doing things in your organization. Work procedures. Procedures and processes are pretty much simple things to develop. If you sit down with your team and one by one, identify what are the most common activities we perform. In this place, what are the common things we do? We fix a plumbing failure. We maintain air conditioners. We provide DSTV for clients. We provide catering. List the key services. For each service, how do we even currently do it now? Step 1, a call comes in for this, with this person responds. Step 2, that person responds. Document what you currently do, and then look at it again and say, okay, so team, what you currently do now, how can we improve it? Is it possible to remove this step where Mr. A goes to Mr. B and Mr. B goes to Mr. C before approval is given? Can we remove that Mr. C point and go from A to D so that the approval can be given immediately? We just document what you do step by step. I hear FM talking about, oh, I'm looking for standard processes. There's nothing like standard process. You create standard processes. You create it. Because if you don't already know how you are doing things, you don't know what to do to improve it. We're all busy running around right now. Take your time and say, what are we even doing? Write it. We have so and so positions we have created in our organizational structure to serve this customer, right? Oh, fine. Why do we need this position? What's his job? Job description. What are the qualifications to fit into that role? Role specification. And then the facility you are managing is built with different materials. Can you come up with a material schedule? For example, the tiles we have in this facility, what type of tiles are they? How thick? What type? Is it vitrified? Is it ceramic? Is it porcelain? And so on and so forth. Your ability to know all around your facility and be able to understand the materials will give you an indication of what specification to always use when you are going to repair, replace, or maintain. And every task that takes place amongst your team requires specific tools. Many people are used to using one type of tool for every kind of task. As FMs, we don't even care. When the electrician goes around with that tester, he can use it for everything. The next thing you see him using the tester to poke, the next thing you see to see him, he's using it as chisel. The next thing you are seeing him using it to, all kinds of things happen with that one tool with him. And then somebody hear that a certain nut is one or a certain bolt is one because somebody has used chisel to destroy it instead of using a spanner to untie it or knot it. And then health, safety, environment have to have standards. If you've had accidents in your facility, nobody will remind you to always put health and safety first. If you've not had, that nonchalance will clear your eyes one day when something serious happens. So there must be standards for health and safety. There must be a process for checking how work is being done. There must be some kind of documentation that shows that we have identified the risk and the hazards related to this job, and the workers have discussed it, and they have agreed on measures with which they are going to, navigate through this work without anybody getting injured, and documented and signed up to. You must be proactive as a facility manager. To be proactive means that you have a routine. You set up a routine for your inspections to see every part of a facility, to pick up things, fix them before they even become a problem, report accurately. Have your risk management plan in place where you've identified things that will probably go wrong based on historical antecedents, based on other people's experiences, based on your own experiences, and then you are just noting certain risk items for various aspects of your operations to ask yourself, what can we do to prevent this from happening? And if it does happen, how can we respond to mitigate its impacts? Facility management is operated at 5 distinct levels. You might want to write this down because you won't find it in your material. You can operate at the proactive level. At the proactive level, nobody tells you what to do. Nobody prompts you. Nobody reminds you. Nobody complains about anything. Everything is smooth running because you have the maintenance, preventive maintenance in place. Everything is working like clockwork. And you're also picking up things that might go wrong to attend to them before they even become a problem. So the customer doesn't even know that a problem is going to happen. You know. That's proactive FM. Seamless. At level 2, we call this the request level, where maybe you did some inspections, you were proactive to a certain extent, but customers still call you to say, oh, my office was not cleaned. Oh, there's water in the toilet floor. Oh, there is a broken door knob. Oh, a certain light bulb is off. When customers call you, it's an indication of failure. But you know what the standard of that failure is? Make sure that if there are 10 things you did today at work, not more than 2 were you drawn to, or at worst case 3. 7 of the things you dealt with were planned by you, executed by you to prevent people from calling you to come and do things tomorrow. So you failed at 20 to 30%, but it's still within standard. So the request level is not perfect, but it's still within standard, which means it's acceptable by industry standard for you to get up to 20 or 30% requests from your clients. Not that I did 10 things today, and out of those 10, it was my customers that called me for 8. It's only 2 that were part of the things I planned for the day. There's problem. Now, that's level 1 and 2, right? Level 3 is a bit trickier. That customer that called you to come and do something now has a reason to come and complain to you that that thing was not done quickly, was not done well, require you to come and redo it, or it's unacceptable. If that customer that called you, there was a failure at the first point, at level 2, you failed at first level, right? The same customer now calls to say, that's what I told you to do yesterday, you've not done it, so it's past SLA, or something like that. Or you did it and it's not very nice. What have you done? You have now failed as a second level. So you are operating at the 3rd level of FM operations, which is the complaint level. So you've dropped from proactive level to request level, and you have now dropped to complaint level. Complaint should be what percentage? By standard, 0%. People coming to complain to you should be 0 by standard. But if you are not already tracking complaints, you won't even know whether you are getting complaints or how many, or whether they are increasing or reducing. That's just level 3. You think that's all? No, there's level 4. Level 4 is what I call the level of escalation. If somebody draws your attention to something, complains to you, whether you rework or you didn't rework, and the person now still is unsatisfied to the extent where the person can now call your boss, talk to his colleagues, talk to his wife or her husband at home about how bad your service has been, escalation is taking place. Some FM departments are in constant escalation. In fact, the FM will call the client and say, you know what, my MD refused to release funds for me to solve this your problem. That's why we are still here. Can you please send a strongly worded protest letter up so that they can approve this work for me to do for you? And you think you are doing something good. That's a criminal tool you are trying to use to do a good job. Escalation should be 0. Whether the customer triggers it or whether you trigger it. In fact, by the time you start triggering escalation, you are entering that realm of criminality. FM failures has 2 spectrum. At one end, we have the spectrum of negligence. And then at the other end, we have the spectrum of criminal. Negligence is you fail to do what you should do. Criminal is to deliberately use an unethical means of either getting things done or dodging to get things done. When you tell somebody to escalate deliberately because of your internal issues, your trust issue with your companies and with your departments, then you are not yet in FM, not ready for the profession. What is the final level of FM operation? You're curious, right? It's called crisis. At the crisis level, nobody wants to even engage with you again. Nobody's even asking you anything. They don't want to ask you for something. They don't want to give you feedback on anything. They don't want to even complain to you that something has broken, because they know that all the past experiences with complaining to you, all the way to escalation to your MD, does not yield any positive result. Therefore, they resort to self-help. That is crisis mode. So when you hear that our national power system or power situation is in crisis, that's what we're talking about. We want to start your salon today, you buy gem first before you buy hair dryer. You want to start a training center, you buy a generator before you have to think of solving that problem yourself, because you are no longer relying on that power infrastructure. So the moment people in your offices start bringing their own tissue in their purse, in their bags, a small gallon of water in case there's no water in the toilet, or bring a long extension to take power from another point across the room to their end in their table, you know that you're operating in crisis. They no longer trust that they can get results or solutions from you. They are beginning to help themselves. That is the worst situation you can be in. In fact, if you go to such people to say, please, tell us how we are doing, they will just first laugh. Are you serious? You really want to know? Because if they tell you, in fact, some of you already know what they will tell you. So when you go and do a survey, there are so many companies that say, oh, you know what? Before we start engaging as consultants to work with you in your FM department, we need to do an initial survey to have a baseline customer satisfaction level of your users. And the FM will say, no, we are not going there. we know they are already angry. Let's just get to the solution. Of course, without that, you really can't have a solution. Documentation. FM is all about details. You must know your occupants, have their details, have a good filing plan. You must have records of all transactions and records of all activities on site, including incidents reports, security logs, HSE statistics, and everything. Every time I go to an FM department, I ask for, what have you done in this area? Can you show me the documentation that justifies or shows what you have done in that area? And they don't have documents in place. Oh, it was approved then, and then we did it, and that's it. My friend, there is problem. Make sure that every emergency is reported, every incident is carefully reported. And then when there's a disruption, to service, give a notification. I told you, don't just go about fixing the problem. Give notification first so that people know exactly what you are doing. This is a template you can use for such notification. What just broke? What's the reason? Do we know? Who did it impact? What are the initial indications that we know? What are the actions we are taking right now? What is the time we hope to complete it? And in such fractions of time before that completion time, this is when we're going to give you more feedback about what we're going through. And then when it is finally done and closed and people are seeing light as restored or water is now flowing, you don't just assume that they now know that you are finished. No. You need to go back and communicate and say, oh, yes, we finally did it. This is what we learned from it. And this is how we're going to prevent it from happening again in the future. That is professional facility management. Twice in the last 1 year, I have been in a hotel where they turn the water off because they are washing the tank or services on pumps with no notification to occupants in the hotel. The first time it happened to me, I was actually in the shower. This time, luckily, I used the gym first. I was not yet in the shower. By the time I get into the shower, boom, there was no water. They had to use bucket to bring water for me. You don't want that kind of experiences for your customers. And then HSE. We've outlined some of the core HSE concerns, areas where the FM must be experts, creating a job hazard or job safety analysis for every non-routine job, a safety data sheet for every chemical and material used, a toolbox meetings with minutes and lessons taught being cataloged, minutes of monthly HSE meetings, reports of fire drills, HSE audits and closeout tracking, PPEs for your staff, personal protective equipment, and security review reports. This is just a small short list of the key things you must have on site, of course, including the HSE strategy, policies, and procedures, and the rest that you must have in place as a company. The FM job is an inspector's job. In fact, my rule of thumb for the FM's role is that you must be up on your feet, up and about at least 50% of your day. Everything else is secondary. You will mingle with your users to experience what they are experiencing, so you can know the right solutions to provide for them. You will mingle with your workers to experience what they're experiencing, so you can listen to their call when they need resources and tools to work. And you can know when they are wasting time, so you can create optimized processes for them to work. You must verify what's been done, that has been done correctly, midway and at the end, before you close out work orders. We call this management by working around. It is the best way to be on top of your game as an FM. It's easy to blame people for all the lies you tell. Oh, well, they told me it's to be done, that's why I closed it out. I told the customer it's been done. But at the end of the day, it's you that's accountable. It's you that told the customer it was done. And you can't even blame that technician that told you it was not, it was done. Just the way you have reports you send to your management, you should also have reports you send to your customer. Customers need to have a regular engagement with you. You may not have the opportunity to talk with all customers one by one, but at least identify an individual in every department. You can get a formal approval to organize a building user group where somebody from accounting, somebody from IT, somebody from HR, somebody from production can be there to talk about issues they're experiencing, and then you interface with this person on a regular basis. Or you just use your newsletters in your website or your notice board to communicate. But customers must know exactly what is going on in the facility. You must plan everything you do. If you don't plan, don't do. And I hear somebody say, oh, well, I always plan. The plan is always in my head. That is a lie. If it's still in your head, it's not yet a plan. A plan is only when you write. And what is a plan? Questions with answers. What am I going to do? That's a question. I write it down. How am I going to do it? That's a question. I write it down. When am I going to do it? That's a question. I write the answer down. Who will do it for me? That's a question. I write the answer down. What steps will be taken to get it done? I write the answer down. That's a plan. That's when I say I have a plan. So don't say you have a plan until you have written it down. Management systems, audits, quality health, and all of those quality assurance that takes place in the organization are to ensure that mistakes are not perpetuated. So that's the end of our lesson. The lesson has assessments. There are 10 simple questions. All the answers are inside the materials. And I'm sure you were told during the orientation, every assessment must be submitted immediately. Before you come to class on Friday, this assessment is due. It expires by 5 p.m. on Friday. So do it today. That's what I always advise. Don't delay on it. Answer it and submit it in the method described to you by the training manager. All right, so we're going to have a discussion for the remaining 20 minutes or so. Let's see your hand, review your notes. Let's see who's going first. Temitokbe Akin. Yes, I can hear me.
I can hear me. Yes. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. Thank you so much for the.
Is your video having a problem?
No, it's
Yes,
on.
we need
Can't
you
you see
to
me?
have your video on if you want to speak into this class.
My video is on, but I don't know why it's not visible.
Okay, let me see. You have a video problem. Okay, go ahead. Let's give you that exception. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Okay, you when you were talking about the proactive level, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. In my company, I sometimes have this issue with my CFO. He says that the facility manager is the one detecting the problem and is the one solving it. Why is it like that? That I should let the user identify the problem. I was like, that is not being proactive. Why would I wait till the user complain before I get things done? So I want you to explain to me how to deal with that.
Yeah, that's a dilemma you are in. Okay, so one angle for a CFO is cost. In fact, that's the main angle for him, right? He probably thinks you are overspending. Digging up things, yeah, digging up things to create expenses. I've had a challenge at one point in my career where I had a boss coming from France, looked through one of my facility and said, Paul, we can't afford this level of management. You're being too detailed in this facility, not for this level, right? And I said, I don't understand, sir. He said, we expect a certain level for this facility. What you are doing is too sophisticated for this customer group. And I said, I looked at the books, I showed him everything that we spend on that facility, and he realized that it was really small. But what I had going for me then was I had a custodian, an old papa, who was spending virtually all his time, day and night. And I said, look, we employed you for 20 hours. Just work 2-3 hours a day and go, or work 2 times a week, and that's it, right? And the man said, do you want me to die? If you stop me from doing what I'm doing right now, I'll just die early, right? So just allow me. And he manicures the grass, he cleans the walls inch by inch, he takes care of the glasses, he just does that thorough job. So I was getting all that for free, basically, right? But that's a major concern that normally CFOs and management have when you are providing top-notch service. They're concerned about cost. So you need to watch your costs, all right? Watch your costs, be more transparent in your procurement processes so that you are no longer the one bringing the vendors or being the one bidding out the jobs, right? Let's look at see if you are gaining from the process of being proactive. And once that out of the way, managing your cost effectively and ensuring that there's no suspicion of unethical activities going on, they will let you do your job. Being proactive is where you want to be, is top up there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. So you just approach him and talk about his real concerns. His real concerns is not that you are getting things done. His real concerns is deeper than that. So you need to understand those concerns. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Michael.
Yes, I have this question, and it's on that proactive side too.
Level, okay.
From the lesson I learned that my complaint should be, if it is going to be any complaint, it should be only 3 out of the 10 that I must.
That's not complaint, that's request. Complaint should be 0.
Okay. Complaint should be 0 or
0. Request, yes. Request. All of those reactive requests from your users can be up to 2 or 3. That's 20-30%, but no more, right? But complaint should be what? 0. So it is request you are talking about now.
Yes, it is a request. And I want to ask them, what happens if I'm working in a facility that I cannot see the inside of the user? I mean, let's take, for example, I have a facility that encompasses like flats where the users need their privacy. I cannot go there. I cannot look at what is happening in their flats.
Mm-hmm.
And now, the only thing that I have an office, the only thing that I can get to know what is happening in their office is to call in their room, is to call our office to come to their house and see this thing is not working, this light is not working. So can I say I have failed for them to be calling me? I'm not proactive in that essence, or what should I do if that happens? That is what I want to ask.
Yeah, definitely not proactive. What you need to do is come up with a plan, a schedule, right? People don't want to come to their apartment every week or every month, for example, right? You need to understand what works for them. Let them know that you would love to do an inspection maybe once a month, so you can pick things that are going wrong. You go to some apartments today, you're managing a residential estate, and somebody moves out of the apartment, and the apartment needs to be stripped down completely because of the mess that you find inside. They'll have bathtubs that are soaking into a pool, leaking under the bathtub for months, and nothing is done, just drip, 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 in there. And you have all kind of rots going on under sinks. You have under stairwells that are terrible junkyards and things like that, So if you talk with the users to say, how frequently would you like me to do an inspection? So you prepare them. They agree to that SLA with you. Prepare them for the day. If it's the first Saturday of every month, for example, they arrange themselves. They cover things. They open up. They arrange themselves in such a way that they can receive you as a visitor into their space to do that inspection. Otherwise, you change the contract. The contract will no longer require you to help them. It's just purely going to be a reactive contract. If that's the case, then you're being proactive. Only starts from when the request comes out, so you deal with it expeditiously. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Faith.
Sorry. Nice presentation. Thank you very much. Question on competency number 9.
Yes.
Quality. Competency
Yes.
number 9 is quality. Now, you did mention that it seems that quality is relative. Like if this person says, okay, I like this, then that is her quality or his quality. And this other person says, I'm wondering, where do we draw the line in that? Because there should be standard. There should be standard for quality, right?
Okay.
So they shouldn't define quality for us. We should be telling them.
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. Let me tell you where we draw the line. We draw the line at the level of statutory or regulatory compliance.
Right.
I'll give you an example. The law says you cannot have open defecation. It's against the law, right? Which means you can't have latrines.
Yeah.
A customer cannot prefer latrines, and I will be serving him. Right? That's where my own standard stops. If the customer prefers a bidet, I like to bend down to do it. It's his call. Provided it's a system, water flushing kind of approach where piping takes the mess out and there's a water trap. It works. It meets the requirements of the law. That's his preference, right? If the other one prefers the one that has the air-conditioned toilet with a bum washer and the rest, that's the standard. They are all above statutory or regulatory compliance. For example, the law says you cannot have 100 people in a hall and have just one entry and exit, for example, right? That's where I hang on. That's my own standard, right? That's the minimum I can take. I need to understand the customer's expectation to meet his expectation. But if the expectation is below regulatory standard or requirement, the building code becomes my own guide. So we should all understand what the building code says about built environment. For example, in Lagos, if you have a commercial environment that houses many people and you don't have a sewage treatment plant, for example, that's a non-compliant facility. There must be a sewage treatment plant, right? So the FM says, there must be a sewage treatment plant. So whether they're going for this organic biotic sewage plant that does not require processing, that they have some organisms just chopping up all of the waste that goes in there, or they have a huge mechanical sump pumps and booster pumps array that helps to even aeration and all that. It's their requirement. So you can start at that lowest level as the government induced standard, and then you can now move up to different standards above it, like the individual customer standard, corporate standard. Professional bodies have standards that they will say, oh, as a professional body, we all sign up to this level of standard in our operations. We'll all try to operate at this level, right? But all of those are all supposed to be above regulatory standards. So we take regulatory standard as the ceiling, bottom, where we cannot operate below.
Okay, quick one. Second one. Thank you. Question on, sorry, please, people. These two categories of soft services and hard services. So that is under service classification. Now,
yes.
you classified furniture and equipment under soft services.
Yeah.
It's listed. Furniture and equipment is listed under soft services. I would have thought it should be on hard services.
No. Understand the differentiating factor between the two. One is built into the building. The other one is brought in because of the user.
Okay, fantastic. All right, that solves it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Abdul. Abdul, please come on screen and ask your question. You're still muted.
Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Good.
Nice presentation. My question is,
thank you.
From the presentation where you mentioned escalation, especially from the management side, that you don't want your clients to actually know what's happening coming from the background. That's quite professional, and that's how it should go. But when you start having such issue over and over again from your backroom, how do you handle such?
You have you need to look at the root causes. We have antecedents and precedents that lead to such distrust from the backroom. When you say there was a problem from a customer, it's going to cost me 10 naira, and they say, okay, hold on, let's think about it. There must have been something before that happened that made them start thinking about it now. It may not have been you, right? So a lot of tweaks and stringent measures are put in by companies to safeguard themselves from being run over by people in the field, right? So they'll say, hold on until a certain manager comes in from somewhere to come and validate that request, right? So there will be an integrity issue. There would have been ethics failure in the past. There would have been a system collapse from within the organization. So some of those root causes, if you think there is something you can do on yourself to get better, for example, ensuring that you have a very transparent, competitive bidding process for everything. For example, 2, ensuring that you are proactive in requesting enough for that to be captured in the cash flow. Some of us just wake up one day and say, we need this by tomorrow, or else heaven will fall, right? And you expect management to just balk and quickly, respond. It doesn't always work that way. Some management are, diehard technocrats who will see through they will just see through your brouhaha and tell you, you know what, let heaven fall. We're going to go through due diligence. The case in point is diesel. You know that there is a 2 weeks audit review, there is a 1 week management approval, and a 3 weeks lead time for vendor to deliver, 6 weeks, right? And you did not set a proper reorder level. So you did not decide that, oh, my diesel consumption per week is 1,000 liters. Therefore, I must have 6,000 liters left by the time I'm placing the next order, right? So your order level is not correct. And then you now start to try to stampede the organization to forget the audit side so that we can get through the approval, right? My dear, it doesn't work that way. You have to be smarter than that. Okay, so a lot of times when we create those problems from the back room, We need to look back again at ourselves and say, how have I operated to get to that point where I'm now being disbelieved, I'm now being checked on, I'm now being, in fact, throughout my career, I mean, my colleagues will easily tell you that I could get away with murder because before I get to the point of making a request, I've done all due diligence. I understand the way everybody works. I deliver enough a very detailed business case that makes my recommendation the obvious best option to solve that problem, that I don't have anything like, come tomorrow, let's reconsider, let's think about it again. So you need to think about all of the things, and I can encapsulate it in three things. One, integrity, which you can also call credibility, right? Two, competence. Have you made technical blunders in the past that cost us money, that is causing them to relook into your proposals again before, which creates delays? And then three, leadership. Leadership trumps this other two. Because at the end of the day, people will listen to you because they trust everything that comes out of you, and you'll be controlling them because they know that they can trust you to get things done. So think about it: credibility, integrity, and leadership, and you will always get approved. Always get approved. We'll have more time to break these three things down as we go on in this program. And if you can get these three things right in your career as an FM, your rise to the top is just 5 years to the highest level in FM. Next question, Raymond. Is Raymond still there?
Yeah. All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My question is still on the target, just like now I have opportunity for identifying what the problem is and what people need, and then you put it up for approval. Well, the approval takes almost 2 to 3 days, and then by the time finance responds, the people have already started complaining. In that kind of situation, how do you, why you can, in sometimes there is a vendor that be ready to do that and wait for their money, why some wouldn't be, will ask some portions of money before they could do that. How do you handle such things?
Okay. First, operate at a proactive level. That means that no problem becomes urgent ever in your site.
Okay.
Before it becomes urgent, you already picked it up. Something that's going to fail in a week or 2 weeks, you already know it's going to fail. That's the kind of FM we are looking for. So you're not even waiting for the customer to be the one to raise the request before you scope it for approval from management. You already know that it takes 3 days for approval. After the approval, it probably takes 2 days or 3 days to bid it to the vendors and get a competitive bid. And it probably takes another 3 days to mobilize the site to get it done. Some vendors want to be paid, right? And your policy allows such payment to take place. But finance have their cash flow management to deal with.
Exactly.
So the point here is upgrade to a proactive level in all that you do, so that you plan your lead times to capture all of these processes, and you are calm throughout the entire process. Most of us, is just at the nick of time we pick up things. It's a present danger. That's how we bring it up. And as such, we want everything we deal with to be emergencies. And for emergencies, we should override the processes. Move this process aside. We have an emergency on hand. The more emergencies you create, the more you establish your incompetence as an FM. So be less and less in a hurry to get things done. Be more and more proactive, picking things up before they become urgent, and then you are the star.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Luca.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and thank you for the presentation, sir. Mine is within the space of escalation, where it is necessary for an escalation, because management has already told you that due to budgeting, that there's no much finance, and that it's only situation where we have to review the justification for carrying out any activity. Now, your customer have to write for them to look at, okay, is this justifiable to carry out such activity or close out such request? For instance, let me put the scenario right, whereby the street lightings and the perimeter lightings within the premises is being managed by an FM, and then they are telling you that there's no much budget for such activity because the contract is probably is out already, and they are kind of preparing the contract. And now it is basically on a request from the customers, and they have to also go through justification process before they would like say, okay, go ahead and close out trust work order. So in that case, is it the fault of the FM? Because it looks like you have to wait for the customer to also make that request first of all before you go into action.
Of the FM. Always the fault of the FM. Always. Let's just get into our head straight away. It's always the fault of the FM. You see, security lights, 20, 30, 50, 100 of them. One goes out. It doesn't become an emergency immediately because others are holding on, isn't it?
Yes.
You're not having any dark patch yet, but you didn't do anything. Is this story of the broken glass window syndrome, where we allow a small crack as we see it as acceptable, that leads to these kind of situations? If you don't see that small crack, that first small crack as acceptable, then you won't get to that situation where you're now trying to push a project up that there's no funding for. You already made your case. And by the way, if I'm managing a street lights in any estate, I know the total number of street lights. I know the numbers that will be likely going to be replaced on a monthly basis, and I'll provide them proactively. It's not when the lights go out, I make that request. The bulbs to replace them will already be on ground because I know from my historical data, and that's what many of us are lacking. I've seen a high rise. I'll ask the FM, how many light tubes or light bulbs are in this building? There are many. My friend, go and count them, floor by floor, room by room. Because if you don't know, you don't know. You can't be proactive until you know. Go and count them. How many light bulbs did you replace last year? I don't remember. What about last month? Maybe 2 cartons. You should have the data. You should be able to plot it and say, these particular light fittings, we have them in so and so locations, total 1,900, and we change on the average 75 per month. Because you've used data to map that. So we're not trying to get money to buy bulb to replace a street light. No, it's already part of the budget. And when we get to the finance class, you will see how that proactivity will be applied again in budgeting, because sometimes we do preventive maintenance and we pick out generator, AC, and put them in that plan and have a budget for it. And then all the things that are in the other strategy, like run to failure, we don't have a budget for them because we don't know how to estimate that a table will break or a chair roller will go off or a door handle will go off. So we leave it off. And then every time it does, we come back, apply for funds. We come back. You don't apply for funds as an FM. Your funds are supposed to be budgeted, pre-approved, and plugged into the cash flow by finance. So anytime your request for proposal or quotation goes out by procurement, finance is already aware of the budget line item for such a deal, right? Except funds are reappropriated because they were not used. But again, in such instances, your business case that clearly defines the criticality of that service will make management think of how to move budgets into your budget line item to solve that problem for you. And we have another class on business case development, so you can know how to present and package your business cases, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Kingsley.
Evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, the questions put forward so far has really touched the questions I wanted to ask and the response so far.
Okay,
So it was still based on proactiveness.
Very important.
My question was on what if you have a client that insists a system must run to failure before you consider the replacement? You know, most
SLA with you, right?
So how do we
I will not rule that out. Some clients are trying to sweat their assets. Okay, so probably tying back to that CFO's question, don't keep bringing things up, right? If they can still use it for one day, let it run for that one day, okay? Some clients are trying to sweat their asset. It's your job to understand what the client's long-term goals are. Don't fight it. Your plans must align with the customer's expectation, okay? Samuel, last question.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you very much for the privilege. So my question is this: in aspect of, okay, you have to take some procedure before you get funds to get the needful done. And you are being proactive. Actually, you foresee things before it tends to go bad. You inform the management. Okay, fine. In this my own case now, okay, I work as a maintenance of a hotel. So basically, when we get to see things that we are supposed to fix,
yes,
or at least get the needful down to fix it. You know, one thing about account is they don't really want money to go out. You don't want to spend that money. That's fine, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So what I just do is, okay, we inform them ahead, take them there, let them have understanding about
what the issue is.
The issue.
Yes.
And what exactly it could cause.
Yes.
The consequence behind it.
Yes.
Okay. So fine. When we now do that, they still don't release the fund. Not until the thing goes bad. So the superior, which is our boss, get to see it and would bring it back on the maintenance team.
Yes.
Despite the fact that you've done your best actually by seeing it ahead of time, taking it through the necessary, because you have to go through accounts, they have to pay you. Because one thing about where I work is, if you should attempt to use your money to sort things out,
you can't use your money. Sure, that's wrong.
Get it out back would be a very big problem.
You can't use your money. It's against the law to use your money to do company business.
Okay, fine. So definitely, when and I will come down to like, okay, let's see if let's see how it goes and rest. Then the boss get to see it and will now bring it back on maintenance and be like, you guys are not doing your job, you are not this, you are not that, all of those blame. Now you can't really put it out to them back that, sir, we saw it and we took it through accounts, because it will bounce back on them and can actually affect their own job.
And affect the relationship with them as well, isn't it?
And affect the relationship with you. It will look as if you are reporting them.
Yes.
Because we are still way closer to the boss than they do. You understand? Because we're together while the construction were ongoing. So the relationship with the boss is one already.
I see.
But them that they employ them and they're trying to manage funds is just the major problem. So in this kind of case, what can one do?
There's a specific tool you can use. It's called a deferred maintenance log.
Deferred maintenance log?
Deferred maintenance log. A deferred maintenance log.
So can I get the deferred well?
Deferred, DEFERRED. Deferred.
Deferred log, okay.
Deferred maintenance log, LOG. Right now, so what that does, what that document, and that document, you should put it, make it available to your boss around the clock. Every day you are working inside it. Everything you pick. So this is how it works. The log is what is the issue?
Okay.
What is the location? What's the time of your inspection? What did you find? What's your recommendation? What is the cost? Right? And what is the status? Right? So that status will be multiple columns. Status as at July 1st, status as at July 8th, status as at July 14th. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because on a weekly basis, you want to come back and put a status for each line item in that deferred maintenance log.
Okay.
Now, so anyone that is sorted out, you say resolved, done, completed, and there'll be no further entry in that row. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then anyone that is outstanding, funds not yet released, status as at July 1st, funds not yet released, status as at July 8th, funds not yet released. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Status as at July 15th, funds not yet released, right?
Okay.
And your boss is seeing this on a weekly basis.
Okay. So definitely, I'm not making a report. He's seeing
You're
it
not reporting
directly.
anybody. You're not putting a process in place using a specific professional FM tool called deferred maintenance log. So your boss knows that you are capturing everything. Okay?
Okay.
You are doing what there are some results will be that the work is too small to package as a contract. So we want to wait until more of such happens. You understand? So we can package a work for a contractor. It's fine. Put it there. Let him see it.
Okay.
Whatever your reasoning for that job not to have been done, indicate it. And make sure this forms part of your weekly reports. If I were you, I'll put it in a shared drive. I'll just be sending him the link to click and see, maybe a Google Drive or a Microsoft SharePoint drive. Document will just be there. I'll be working inside the document. He can also add notes or comments into the document. You get what I'm saying? So it's a live document that portrays the status of everything happening in your site. And there's no story about, hey, where have you been? You're not doing your job. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of, I think that also answered the second question. We are meant to service our AC unit, I think quarterly, that's thrice in a year, 4 months interval then. So we're supposed to service it last month, I guess. Yes, last month, July. Not even I guess, last month. We're supposed to service it July. Now we're in August. And we've raised the alarm that, okay, fine. We are due for servicing these ACs. Let the contractor come to service it. Fine. They told me, okay, yes, call the contractor to come service it. But based on the relationship that, okay, when they come to work and they don't get their funds easily and the rest, the man stepped back and said, okay, he's not going to come if he doesn't get the funds first. Until when his payment is available, you understand? Before he can come to commence the servicing for all the AC units. Now it's taking them forever to get funds out. ACs tends to be getting bad daily because there's something we use often and often. It's an hotel, so we are still running them, and before it will affect the service rendered to the guests.
Yes.
You understand? We as maintenance team, we already placed it out that we are due for servicing, but now it's now left to them to reimburse
now be careful in that kind of scenario. Be careful in that kind of scenario. A vendor does not dictate what your policy should be. If your policy is work and get paid, and he says, I can't work unless you pay me, you terminate his contract. There are so many vendors looking for work.
The reason why it's like that is, okay, this person has been a contract of years, like a contractor.
That's what I'm saying now. They are the type you should terminate fast.
But why termination shouldn't be the option is this. They're acting based on experience.
That's what you're not getting the picture. Let me tell you where the picture is. If your management has a cash flow problem that's making them not to pay for the service now.
Yes.
Right? And the contractor knows that when he does the job, he doesn't get paid until maybe 30 days after he has done the job. And that's why he's holding you to ransom. If you threaten him that you're going to get other vendors to come and do the job, he will do it quickly.
Okay. I'll take that.
Vendors cannot hold you to ransom.
Absolutely. It's not supposed to be.
You understand? So you shouldn't have one vendor holding a monopoly on you like that. So the point where you now be blaming your management again. The management is always right. I hope we all get into our heads. Management is always what?
Management is always right.
Always right. Please write that down. Management is always right. Your job as an FM is not to teach management. Your job as an FM is to understand management. Okay? Yes. So if you don't understand why management is doing something, find out. For example, why have they not paid this guy? Find out. Maybe there's no inflow. Maybe something is wrong somewhere. You understand? Find out and then help management. Okay? Don't work against management. Don't tell management they are wrong. Okay? Nduka, you have another question? Or the former one that your hand was up. All right. Thank you very much. It's way past our time to close this class. I'll say thank you very much. Please do your assessments and turn them in. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.